Hey guys, this is Ice Restrict 12. Today I am showing you my Orcust Eldlich deck profile. This is my competitive deck. This is what I take to locals and other tournaments. I hope you like it. I really love this archetype. It's a lot of fun. It's a control deck just like I like it. And without further ado, let's get started. For the monster count, you want to go ahead and run 2 copies of Eldlich, the Golden Lord. The reason why you want to run 2 is you're gonna have one on the field at all times. So a lot of people say you don't really need the second one, but with DD Crow and Call by the Grave running around, the last thing you want is to lose one of your Eldlich cards, so run 2. You could say, like some people run 3 of them. That's more if you're building a pure Eldlich deck. But if you run 3 on the deck like Orcust Eldlich, they will get breaking, so 2 is the perfect number. That's actually what you're going to see in most builds, and it's because they fine-tune that ratio so that it works with all the other cards. Now, we're going to run 3 copies of Yugioh, the Orcust Mechanite. This card right here, we run 3 of them because you want to see this card as often as possible. This is what gets the entire Orcust engine moving. And with that, we'd run a copy of Orcust Nightmare, a copy of Symbol Skeleton, and a copy of Wand. Now, a lot of builds you're going to see that we run 2 copies of the Nightmare, or they will run instead a copy of Brass Bombard. I tried both. The argument is that sometimes you are going to draw into a Nightmare, but I feel like this deck has a lot of ways of getting rid of cards from your hand. Also, with Orchestrated Return, you can get rid of cards on your hand. And we do play droplets, so again, just different ways of getting cards over your hand. So I try to keep a very tight Orcust package to make some space for other cards that I play in the deck. And yep, that's it for the monster count. For the spells, you want to go ahead and run mandatory 3 copies of Cursed Eldlich. This is the card that's going to search your Eldlich. This is the card that's going to send your Golden Land cards as well. So you definitely want to run 3 of them. Just keep in mind that when this card is face up on the field, the only monsters that can attack are zombies. So if you're going to attack with any of the Orcust cards, you want to get rid of this card. But it's very easy to get rid of it. And plus, when you get rid of it, it allows you to send a Golden Land card from your deck to the graveyard, so you can start getting those Eld Elixirs a lot easier. The next one, we run Forbidden Droplet. You want to run 3 of them. This is a this is a going first deck because you want to set a bunch of traps, but every now and then you are going to go second. So with Forbidden Droplet, you're going to be able to break boards, and as one more card, there's going to allow you to get cards off your hand into the graveyard where most of your effects are going to activate. The next one is we play 2 Pots of Prosperity. This is to search Yugioh, but if you excavate 6, there's no Yugioh, no problem. Like I said, this deck is very trap card heavy, so you can just get a trap card, and a lot of times what you're just doing is just setting a bunch of trap cards and then just sit back, see what your opponent does, respond to it, and just control the game until you can achieve your win condition. So this one will allow you to get the traps that you need for the right moment. The next one that we play 2 Foolish Burial Goods because Crescendo and all the Eldlich trap cards have effects when they're in the graveyard, so this is kind of a starter card. You send those to the graveyard and start activating effects and getting cards on the field. The next one that we play is 7 Cities of the Golden Land. This is a personal choice. Not a lot of people play this in this deck, but I see a lot of utility in that. I'm able to bring the Mad Golden Lord onto the field with this card. And also, if a zombie monster special summon, so it doesn't have to be the Mad Golden Lord, it can be Eldlich, it can be any of the Golden Land cards. You can select a set card your opponent controls, and it cannot be activated this turn. So if they have like an Imperm or anything like that will interrupt your plays, they're not able to activate it this turn, which is great. And also, if it's face up on the field, you can send it to the graveyard to bring an Eldlich that you just used as fusion material back to the field. So now you have a Mad Golden Lord and a Golden Lord. So it's really good. The next one, guys, we play 1 Orchestrated Return because a lot of times you might have to get rid of something on your hand. If you break a Nightmare or a Symbol Skeleton or a Wand in your hand, that's how you get rid of it and get more traps. So you can set more traps. And finally, we play one Call by the Grave because you don't want to get Ash Blossom, especially on that Orcust, on that Yugioh search. I'm sorry, not search, and that Yugioh sent from deck to graveyard. Okay, and that is it for the spells. And moving forward, buckle up because this is a trap deck, so we're running a lot of traps. The first one is we are running 3 copies of Elixir of Scarlet Sanguine. This is probably the best Elixir card in the entire Eldlich archetype. The reason why is because you activate this card, it allows you to special summon an Eldlich from the deck or the graveyard, which is where it's going to be 95% of the time. And if it's in the graveyard, you can banish it to set a golden land card straight from the deck onto the field. So that is great. The next one, we run probably the best golden land card in the entire archetype. We run 3 Conquistador of the golden land. If Eldlich is face up on the field, destroy a face up card. And also, just like every other golden land card, except for 7 cities of the golden land, you can remove it from the graveyard and set an Elixir straight from the deck onto the field. The next one is we run 3 copies of Yugioh of the golden land. Now, this card right here, if Eldlich is face up on the field, is basically a Deity Pro. You get to remove a card from either graveyard. But I'm running 3. There is an argument for me to remove one of these and run 1 Guardian of the golden land. I've been play testing it, and believe it or not, you do get some value out of it. Sometimes reducing an opponent's monster's attack to 0 is very useful. The other one is it has 2500 defense, so a lot of times monsters can get over that. The one with the biggest defensive stats from the golden land cards will be the Conquistador at 1800, but a lot of times just having that 2500 defense monster on the field does help a lot, and just for variety as well. So a case could be made for removing 1 Yugioh and adding a Guardian. I play tested it. It worked pretty well for me to the point where I ordered the card. It should be in the mail very soon, and I might actually remove 1 Yugioh and put the Guardian, but 3 Yugioh works just as fine. And then the next one, this right here is the real MVP of the deck. You run 3 Orcust Crescendo. Not only does this card negate monster effects, spell and traps, but it also banishes them. And if it's in the graveyard, you can remove it from the graveyard to add a Orcust monster to your hand, which 99.9% of the time is going to be Yugioh. And then for the interruptions, we run 3 Solemn Strikes, pay 1500 life points, and negate an effect or a special summon. That is universal. All decks do that, so it'll definitely run 3. The other one is Torrential Tribute. We run 3 of this one as well. The reason why is because it's a board wipe, but if you brought Eldlich with its own effect, or if you have the Yugioh on the field, those cards are protected against destruction. So you can activate this card, wipe every card on the field except your own, and then you're golden for next turn. And then lastly, we run 1 Imperial Order. You do run, as you previously saw, you do run a good amount of spell cards, but those are usually starters, are cards to kind of get the strategy going. Once you kind of get in rhythm, you don't depend a lot on spell cards, so this card right here won't affect you at all. And then with decks like Sky Striker running around, Mystic Mine and all those decks, trust me, this one right here will stop a lot of decks on their tracks, and you will be fine. Okay, and that is it for the traps. And finally, let's go ahead and talk about the extra deck monsters. So we run 2 copies of Eldlich, the Math Golden Lord. This card right here, not only do you get a monster with 3800 attack, it also has the ability to steal one of your opponent's monsters. And there's some cool synergy with the Golden Lord himself, because you use it as fusion material, goes to the graveyard, you bring the Mad Golden Lord on the field, and now the Golden Lord, Eldlich, he is on the graveyard now. So now you activate his effect, bring him onto the field, and you usually always end up with a Mad Golden Lord and a Golden Lord on the field at the same time. And that spell card won't allow your opponent to activate one of their set cards, which, that's probably the best exchange that happens during this fusion. The next one, we run 2 Yugioh, the Orcust of the Evening Star. This card right here gives you protection against destruction and also removal, and it's great. Because we run a couple XYZ monsters, we run Divine Arsenal AA Zeus. Now this one, you are gonna make it every now and then, and it's very powerful when you do. Just keep an eye for, when you use your nightmares, your wands. Also when you use crescendo, those will lock you into dark monsters and dark machine monsters. So you want to make sure that if you are going to use Divine Arsenal AA Zeus, do not use any of the nightmare cards. Otherwise you won't be able to. The other one is this one right here, finishes games, Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon. A lot of times you beat up your opponent and you leave him with like 500 life points left, and that card right there just does the job. Or if you're playing and time's about to run out, and you just your opponent is within 2,000 life points of yours, just deal some damage, and a lot of times that's what's gonna give you the game when time expires. The next one, we run through Pleiades because we run the Golden Land cards, who are level 5s, the Aquacero and the Conquistador. They're level 5 light monsters, and that's what you need to make Pleiades. And again, all of these XYZs that we run in here are so that you can bring the Divine Arsenal AA Zeus. The next one, mandatory, we run 3 Galatea. A lot of times this is all you're doing turn 1. You're setting some traps, bringing Galatea, setting a crescendo, and seeing what your opponent does. So that card right there, you definitely want to run 3. The next one is you run 1 Lungirsu. A lot of times, that non-targeting effect to remove a card from the field is very useful. Your opponent usually, won't know that you're playing this card, or if they're not very familiar with the Orcust archetype to know where to place their card on the field. And if both extra deck zones are available, there's literally only one area where they can safely place their monster. And a lot of times they're not thinking about that. Then the next one, this is a surprisingly important card. Barricade Board Blocker. A lot of times when you start the duel and you get your Girsu through Crescendo, you're not going to be able to turn that token into something else. So what you do is you just use Barricade Board Blocker to send the token and the Girsu to the graveyard, and then get your Orcust engine going. So that card right there is very useful. The next one, 1 Vampire Sucker, because we run a bunch of zombies. The Link Rebo, to get rid of that token. Also, if you're going against the Dino matchup, you can get rid of that token as well. And for the Golden Land cards, finally we run 1 Link Spider. That one right there is just so that we can have an effect monster to go into Galatea using a Girsu. Or also, if we just need to get one of the Golden Land trap cards onto the graveyard to activate the effect, that's how we get it into the graveyard. Alright guys, and that was my Orcust Eldlich deck profile. This deck is pretty competitive. It puts a great fight. I put together probably about 3 weeks ago. I've been going to locals. So far, best placement I had was 5th place in my locals, and it was before I was done putting the deck together. That was before like the Pots of Prosperity and a couple other cards. So I'm gonna take it now that it's complete. I'm gonna take it to locals, and I'm sure it's gonna do much better. The consistency is definitely gonna be there. So yeah, absolutely guys. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoy my videos, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.